Right, morning everybody. Welcome to Talking Niagara this morning. Welcome Mike. Welcome Ricky. Welcome. Yeah, okay. So Mike again. I should have to go to get what? Get me a stick.
I've got
you to get me a stick. Who?
Should have got you to get me a stick.
Oh, we just got back from Belfast. He said.
Okay. Oh, cool.
All right. Okay.
Super.
Dave. Late went into Trump birthday party. Yeah.
I was invited. I couldn't make it. I heard there was going to be a storm. Look at this. Like that. Look, God has interfered. Like, all the Jesus people are behind Trump. They don't care that he is the imperfect prophet. But when he was forced to take his name off the Kennedy Center, at the moment they were taking it down, there was two rainbows at the same time that was happening. Two rainbows appeared out of nowhere. And when he wanted to celebrate his birthday on the White House, there was massive storms. It's God, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Donald, don't like what you're doing down there, buddy.
Yeah. Okay, so where are we? Got to that one. All right, got to that one.
Well, the big issue, the big one, of course, is the deal, the peace deal between Iran and the United States. And I think that is a very, very good move. I'm glad Trump has finally decided to quit messing around and actually get the deal done. Like it didn't work out for him as well as he wanted. First of all, he wanted regime change. There was no regime change. So he argues that, well, there's different people there now, so that's a regime change. Well, it isn't. It's the same. It's like if you killed Mark Carney and half the liberals, you think you're going to change the regime? No, you're not. So
you're just going to get the next. You're going to get the next batch of liberals in place, right? Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And when he went into Venezuela, he didn't do a regime change there either. He just took the top guy out.
He doesn't really need. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just told the
second one. Yeah. So, and the whole deal that he's made here is the Obama deal all over again. And that's what kills me. It's very similar to the Obama deal, except it hasn't got as much, as many safety things. Well, when the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, that Obama did, they had not only was the United States involved, but China, France, Russia, the UK, and Germany were all eyes on Iran. They had people going in there all the time inspecting. It was nearly impossible for Iran to get nuclear, their nuclear, synthesizing done any better. They gave away a lot of the stuff that they had. And for that, they got relief on the amounts of pressure that were put on Iran economically. So what does this one do? It does the same thing, basically, but there's only one country involved, and it's U.S. It's the same deal, basically. We're going to open up in order for you to open up the Straits of Hormuz, we're going to give you back the money that we are holding. And we're going to relieve the sanctions that we had on you selling your oil. So in other words, this is going, even though Iran is being beaten up and bombed, they're going to be a much richer country now because they have sanction relief and they're allowed to sell their oil again. And this just to get that Strait of Hormuz open. But I think Trump was pretty smart here because he knows that any kind of lingering amount of war was not going to go down well with the American public. He knows that he began to realize that Bibi sucked him into a war that could go on forever, and he got out. And he is the first president that I know that told Bibi to shut up, stop doing what he's doing. He's the first guy to stand up to Bibi.
And part of this deal is an ending of war and ending of hostilities in Lebanon.
That's right. No other president. You can see how weak Biden was when he was dealing with Biden in the Gaza Strip war. How weak and wimpy Biden was. Trump has been kind of weak with the Israelis up until this time, but he has got to get out of there. So he stood up to Bibi and he said, "That's it, buddy. You ain't going to bomb Lebanon no more until I get this peace deal done." And he's made it. But remember, he hasn't got as close a relationship as you think with Bibi, because their relationship went off the rails back in 2020 when Bibi suddenly shifted away from Trump and started praising Biden the same way he praised Trump when Biden won the election in 2020. So the big thing here is a president can see what's happening in his country. There's a lot of resistance to Israel right now. There's a lot of focus on the Israeli lobby, so much so that Trump can now actually come down on Israel and tell them what to do without having political consequences. And in the meantime, he can still use them. He used Israeli money to get rid of Thomas Massie, right? He got them to put $35 million up against Thomas Massie. And that was almost all Israeli lobby money. So things are changing. The politicians and the president are not so beholden to Israel anymore. That's going to be a problem for Netanyahu. He has to go into an election sooner or later. He doesn't want to go into an election. As many wars as he can keep going, the longer he stays in power. And because they're just like Ukraine, they don't have elections during wartime. The same as with Ukraine. So so he, as long as there's a war going on, he can stay in power. And he's got to face corruption charges sooner or later. But I'm very happy this ended, because we talk about our rising oil prices and all that, and food prices and things like that. But there is a huge amount of the world that is really, really suffering a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's East Africa, Asia.
Well, my hope right now is that we can get to the official signing ceremony in Switzerland on Friday.
Well, the Israelis have tried to
right now.
The Israelis have tried to jinx the deal a couple times now by attacking in Lebanon, going right into Beirut, and killing people there. So they try to hijack this deal right at the very end, because they started bombing Beirut, and the Iranian says, well, they said, this shows that the United States cannot live up to its deal. It shows that the United States cannot control its ally. You can't live up to this deal. And that's where Trump finally had it with Netanyahu. And he told him, what the hell are you doing? But he used a different word, and stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Now, the only real thing that Trump has over Israel is to stop the weapons going there. But right now, Israel has to walk a very fine line, because the whole world hates them. And Netanyahu says the whole world hates us because they don't want us to defend ourselves. I don't think so.
I don't think that is
the whole
true.
world hates you because you killed 25,000 kids in Gaza, children.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, anything else on that? I think, that's, and so long as we get the Straits of Hormuz open, so long as we get oil flowing again, so long as we can get fertilizer to Africa, my biggest concern right now is Africa.
Yeah, but it also was a problem for American farmers.
Pardon me? Yeah, and for
it was also a problem for American farmers who need that fertilizer as well.
Yeah. But the forgotten continent of Africa is we're going to be seeing starvation again in Africa in a year or two if we're not careful.
Yeah. So, like I said, they have this cute little war way over there. They could stand up to have 13 people killed, 13 Americans killed, and 100 wounded, and they killed several thousand Iranians when they were doing it. And as long as it's way over there and not too much damage is happening, they can ignore what they're doing. And what they were doing was causing famine because the fertilizer can't come out, and causing disruption and energy needs all over the place. I don't know. We're so selfish in the West. Like, well, we want to do what we want to do, but we don't really care what kind of damage we do to other people in the world. And that bugs me big time. You know, this was a dumb war, really, really dumb.
Yeah.
It was a lot of bloodletting. And in the end, what do you got? Trump's version of the JCPOA.
Yeah. All right.
JCPOA, pardon me.
Okay. And while all that was going on, Diod was on a trade mission to Bulgaria and Turkey. He met Bulgaria's foreign minister while he was out there. Her name is Velislava Petrova. Interesting. That met with her. Visit took place on the eve of the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Bulgaria and Canada. The ministry said said on its website on Friday. There you go. Right?
Yes. Let me just put this out there. We talked about this last week. We presented this another article very similar to this last week. It was very much the same thing, except some of the people, like the Bulgarian minister, was not identified in those articles.
Yeah,
but I am really interested in knowing. What's that?
I'm still not happy about this. There's no indication in anything I've read that any deals done are going to bring good quality jobs here to the Falls.
Look, I don't. I really don't care. This didn't cost the taxpayer of Niagara Falls any money at all. What I'm curious, and if it means some kind of enhancements between the Niagara region and Bulgaria and Turkey. I don't know why Bulgaria and Turkey zeroed in on the Niagara region. I don't know if there's no indication that those countries are targeting other places in Canada. Yeah, but there is a significant Bulgarian community in Niagara, and I'm sure there's a Turkish community in Niagara too, because they keep bumping into Turks here and there. So Turks and Bulgarians. I live close to a Bulgarian family, and of course there's that Bulgarian church there on Valleyway. You can see that. Yeah. So maybe that's why both the countries thought here's a good place to start. It's also in kind of an international city and things like that. People come here all the time. It is very unclear what kind of opportunities are available, because they talked about agriculture, they talked about tourism, they talked about everything under the sun, it seems to me. So they're kind of poking around and seeing what can we and what can we not do. Yeah. It seems to me very peculiar that they zoomed in on Niagara Falls. That hasn't really been explained, except I just tried to explain it. So those things, and I would really like to know any kind of trade or enhancements to the back and forth trade, the win-win situations here. Notice Canada, now including Niagara Falls, are going around the world looking for win-win trade deals, not like the ones we were being threatened with in the States, where it's a zero-sum game. Give me everything, you get nothing kind of a.
It's interesting that he went to the Wachala Istanbul Chamber of Commerce, which is the second largest chamber of commerce in the world, with 860,000 business members, and they're looking
that
for
was in that was in Istanbul. Yeah, we talked about that last week. We mentioned that last week.
Yeah. So that is actually the big takeaway that I get, is building relationships with a group like that, particularly if that group is looking for, even if a tenth of that membership even if 80,000 businesses were looking for some form of trade alliance internationally, that's a good thing.
Well, they like Carney, and Carney, of course, has pointed out that the middle powers of the world should not compete with one another for the, for scraps that China or U.S. will feed us. We should find our own deals and not compete with one another. That will kill us all. But if we compete with one another, if we trade with one another fairly, a win-win type of trade, not a zero-sum type of trade, that China and U.S. do. So that, it could work out. And they like that idea. Because obviously any other time they try to maybe make inroads with Canada or something like that, we're busy trading with the United States, and we don't need them. But now we might need them. It might be a good idea.
Yeah. Again, they should have sent Carney to get an MOU. Okay.
Yeah. Memorandum of Understanding. Was that between Turkey and Bulgaria? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So what would the mayor be able to do about trade? Very little, actually. That's exactly my point. It's, Doug Ford would have a greater impact on trade than the mayor of Niagara Falls, unless there's specific deals that we don't know about happening.
Good morning, Karen. Yes. So that was very curious to me this whole time too. Why Niagara Falls? Why was that? None of the articles that I've read about this, I don't know, about maybe 3 of them or something that I've read. Not one of them indicates what sort of trade we're going to have. Not one of them says why it's the mayor of Niagara Falls and not a trade minister.
Yeah, exactly. And they're looking here we're looking to grow Canadian-Turkish relations, and this is the quote from somebody in Turkey, right? They discussed everything from green energy to agriculture, etc., etc. We touched on all different topics. We definitely hold Canada in high regard. Nothing there about Niagara Falls, except for the fact that tourism is one of the subjects they were talking about, right?
That must be that thing they hope to get their foot in the door is through tourism. Mutual tourism. I'd definitely like to go to Turkey and Bulgaria as a tourist. It definitely would. Yeah, and if they come here, that would be great as well. Now that may be the foot in the door.
That's an irrelevant
why they're trying Niagara Falls instead of going to even the region, even the chair of the region or somebody from the region would make more sense.
Well, we don't have a chair of the region right now, so maybe that's one of the reasons why Mayor Diod.
Well, you could have found somebody from the region to speak on behalf of the region. However, like it is one city in a region, which is in a province. So why was it Jim Diod in the city of Niagara Falls they're targeting? That is very unclear.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's very unclear to me as well. All right. Okay. Anything else on that topic?
Only that if it bears results, if it bears fruit, tender fruit or any kind of other fruit, if it bears fruit, yeah, great, way to go, Jim.
Yeah.
Look, he's mentioned it there. Someone mentioned that I should have gone over. They needed a bingo caller to go over there to make negotiations. Darn right they did.
Yeah. We'd have been there, Dave. We'd have been there with you. All right. Okay, so
you need a celebrity sometimes on these things.
Moving on, this is an interesting story. Someone doesn't want Mayor Diod to win a 5th term. Well, they didn't want him to win a 1st term anyway. If I'm honest, he always looked a dodgy character. Never really focused on tourism, not the needs of Niagara Falls. And Kevin Martineau has announced his intention to challenge Mayor Diod, aiming to prevent him to win a 5th term. The only trouble is, of course, how how much more than 10% of Diodati's vote will he get?
The problem here is how many resources does he have? He's going to have a lot of resources to upset the incumbent. Now, Jim Diodati is, like, we can complain all he want about him, but he is a popular mayor.
Yeah,
he won by a landslide the last 2 times he ran, and also he works hard. Like, I remember the last time he had a nothing burger as an opponent. As much as I respect her for stepping up, he had a nothing burger for an opponent, but he had people working on every corner, right up to and including voting day. There was people, his signs were everywhere. He had people at busy corners with his flag or with his waving placards with Diodati on it and all that, Diodati for mayor. So he took nothing for granted. So when this fella, Martineau, comes up and he's going to challenge the mayor, I tip my hat to him. But he's going to have enormous resources.
Yeah. Somebody needs to challenge the mayor having that flag waving. Some of those places he was had his crew flag waving was within the league, was illegally too close to polling stations. I was there. Somebody needs to challenge that. But and also flag waving on election day, that's out of order.
Yeah, I would think so too. I think you should stop that. But I'm pretty sure my memory's a little dim now. But I thought that they were waving those right up during the day of the election. Maybe not. Maybe it was the day before. But no, I did remember they were there the whole day.
I went around every polling booth every polling station at the last election, and he was waving them. They were out on the streets waving them during the election day itself.
Well, I think Jim is. I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to target the voting market here. He got, I think it was 12,000 votes last time. Remember, we had a pathetic turnout, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so the challenge. One of the challenges here is Kevin Martineau, who basically has said he's listened to the city from behind the barber's chair for 15 years, and he's now positioning himself as a person who's in touch with residents, and he's seeking, where Diodati won 67% of the vote. So Kevin Martineau is looking to cut into that and actually challenge the mayor.
Well, I see no one better qualified to cut the budget than a barber.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. All right. Well, I wish Kevin well. We shall see what happens. One final comment. We had no opponents worthy. We never even showed up to the debate. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the Jim got in, and we just don't have a whole lot of people in the political class in this town. But it costs a lot of money. Look at Lori Lococo. Her first attempt got her just outside. She just didn't make it.
Yeah.
She was ninth, I think, and she spent $18,000 for that. So that is a heck of a commitment. Yeah. And I got to tip my hat because she came back again, and she's finally in there. She's going to be a counselor for the rest of her life if she wants to be. She's going to be. If she wants to move on to be an MPP, I think she will be that too if that's her inclination. But we do have. But that's how much it took. And once she was committed to that and got into that role, she's being the best counselor ever. In my opinion.
Yeah.
I think in everybody's opinion. You might not always agree with her. You might not always go their way, but she does her homework. She does now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So she does what she's supposed to do, and
she's one of the few councils. And when you consider this, that Vince Carrio basically has admitted that he breaks the bundle open as he's entering the council meeting, whereas Lori Lococo has got marks on every single page of that bundle.
Yeah, it's And remember too, she doesn't have another job, so that helps.
Yeah. Well, that helps.
That helps a lot. But that's why she's on every other committee. But there we have a devoted politician. And let's face it, she's not making a whole lot of money as a politician, but she's doing her job better than anyone. So I don't know if you're going to get as many selfless people as you got with Lori Lococo. Obviously, she had a mission to be a representative, and she's done a damn good job.
Yeah.
And but as far as Jim Diod or something like that, he's going to have to. I don't know. He's going to have to play the game a little bit more. You know, he's a pretty good speaker. We were waiting for him at the Kiwanis convention. We had people from 14 different countries in our convention, and he was there to speak. He was late, and we had to keep saying, well, the mayor should have been here by now and blah, blah, blah. And so they went on to something else, and they tried how to make stuff up. And finally, and of course, everybody's annoyed. And finally, the mayor shows up really late and gets up on the podium, and he starts talking. And he talked really well, really quick, knew how to work the crowd very, very well. And then everybody forgave him. You know?
Yeah, of course. But again,
I was going to give him a headlock myself, but they wouldn't let me. So I got to go up there and give him a headlock, you know. But they didn't.
No, well, you see that in that regard, Mayor Jim is, you know, a consummate professional. I don't know what. Normally, whenever I've been to events, he's normally been on time whenever he's been there to speak. I've not known him be late, but that must have just been the one where he blew it.
No, he's well known for being late. Even in council meetings, he's being late for meetings with staff. He's like right from the very beginning. He was late for meetings with staff. They noticed it because Tulsi showed up on time. He was there right on time all the time. But when Diod came in, he was always late.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm talking about outside meetings, not the staff ones at the city hall.
Well, I can tell you a couple of events. I can tell you a couple of events where he's being late. So
yeah. Well, the couple.
And then I've heard that he's been. I've heard that that's kind of a bit of a thing. He's late. He's kind of like not punctual like me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on. Here's an utterly stupid one I came across this weekend in India and Pakistan. Since the 1960s, there's been the Indus Waters Treaty, and India has been is now actively working to ensure not a drop of water from the Indus River system flows into Pakistan. Stupid or what?
Yes. Well, they have this constant problem. What had happened is, here you go, 26 people got killed from terrorists coming across the border from Pakistan into India. And of course, the terrorists are kind of like, they know who they are, but they don't go after them. Pakistan just kind of looks the other way. Meanwhile, Pakistan can't afford to go after its terrorists because if it fights the terrorists, it doesn't have a whole lot of resources for anything else because there are so many terrorists in Pakistan. You have you have ISIS in Pakistan. You have you have Al Qaeda in Pakistan. You also have the Taliban in Pakistan, and you have the Bactrian they have a independence movement in southwest Pakistan. So they have a lot of problems. Let's put it that way. Yeah. These other Kashmiri terrorists, they came in and they killed 26 people. So the India's going to punish them by trying to cut off the water. Now there are three. When you go down the Indus Valley, there are a bunch of water coming into the country from the mountains there. So three of the rivers are sort of India's to use, and three are supposed to be Pakistan's to use. And India can shut off the water going into Pakistan. But what good is that going to do? I mean, why is it that the great powers and those people who rule, who have the power, want to hurt the average person.
Yeah.
If you cut off the water rights of Pakistan, who's going to suffer? It's going to be the farmer who needs the water for irrigation. It's going to be the average person that needs the power that the water generates. What is it with that? I got to ask. Why do they want to hurt the average person?
And this is a suspension of a 1960 Waters Treaty for the Indus River. And basically, the Indus River has hundreds of tributaries and, that are part of this entire system. So cutting it off is going to be stupid.
Yes. Unfortunately, I seriously have my problems with the way they do these things. It's almost like India and Pakistan should not conduct business with one another. They should always have an arbitrator in between them.
Yeah.
Because they're always trying to get digs at one another one way or another. And, both those countries could be great countries. I mean, Pakistan and India for tourism, all that would be absolutely perfect. But my God, I don't know.
Well, Pakistan's done a lot in order to achieve the Iran-US peace, haven't they?
Yes, they have been brokered it, but it's been first it was Qatar, and then it was Oman, and then finally Pakistan was the one that did the deal. I guess Pakistan had a relationship with the field marshal, the main general, the main military guy, the field marshal. I can't remember his name. They had an old relationship going back, and that helped the situation. But it's a big feather in Pakistan's hat. Oman had hoped to get that credit, and so did Qatar, but it didn't work those two times. Yeah, it has worked in Pakistan. Pakistan may be a peace broker for other places around the world because it's so successful now, or at least regionally. But what is it with India? How come they can't make a proper deal with India? They can solve the U.S.-Iran thing, but they can't fix their own border issues.
Part of the problem here is Modi is such a huge anti-Muslim person that is not, and he's basically he openly calls Pakistan a terrorist nation, which it isn't.
Well, no, but it does harbor terrorists. Look at
I know it has
Osama bin Laden stayed there for 10 years, and we do know that the Pakistan military knew exactly where he was.
But again,
the Taliban live there. So do Al Qaeda, and so does ISIS. All live there very freely. They attack their own Sufis and Shia Muslims in a big way. There's about 20-25% of Pakistan is a Shia Muslims, and they're always being bombed and everything. Of course, you can't think of what they might do to a Hindu if he walks in there. I mean, but they even go after Sufis. I mean, the peaceful Sufis. They're basically just artists and musicians, and that's the aspect of Islam. They adapt the spiritual side. They go in and kill them. So there is a lot of terrorism, but it isn't really government sponsored. The problem here is they might ally themselves here and there with a terrorist group just so they can live.
It's not government. It's the terrorism that exists in Pakistan is not government sponsored. It may exist there, and people like Al Qaeda have found a home there, but that's because they've basically got a weak government that isn't going to go after them.
Yeah, it's very tribal. Don't forget, Pakistan is very tribal. So you get up close to the Afghani border. What are you going to get? You're going to get a lot of Pashtuns, right? And Pashtuns are normally the ones that make up the Taliban. And then you're going to have this ISIS group that's ravaging Afghanistan, but they'll come in because they are extremely violent and fundamentalists. They'll kill any Taliban they see. They'll kill any Shia, any Sufi, any Christian. They'll kill you know,
Yeah.
anyone. I mean, they'll kill each other if they don't pray right. So
Yes, Rick, we are living in dangerous times.
yes, we do.
Yeah.
I don't think we could keep a bottle on that as much as we think we can. Remember what happened in 9/11, right? We thought, okay, all that stuff was happening over there. Well, they flew planes right into the World Trade Center, didn't they?
Yeah. And my next story here is also one of which in a way could drive concern, which is that Germany and sorry, not that one. Germany and Japan are rearming.
Yes, unfortunately, after the war, particularly with the United States, and their allies, but with Japan, it's mostly the United States, and with Germany, they came up with, okay, you can't have an army anymore. Look at you, Germany. You just had 2 world wars, 20 years apart. Twice you wanted to rule the world. Well, we're not going to let you have an army anymore, so you can do that but Germany's reunited, but basically, what is the threat to Germany now? The threat is the United States is pulling out and has told everybody that don't count on us. We got China to worry about. You're going to have to pick this up for yourself. And they are responding. So the militant powers, the very efficient militaries of the world, like Japan and Germany, remember this, what Patton said about the German soldier. The average German soldier, he said, is the best soldier ever, the likes of which we will never see again, because they demilitarize them. But if they militarize them again, that German soldier may be recreated. It took 2 Americans, or allies basically, but just with the Americans, it took 2 American soldiers. 2 American soldiers died for every German soldier died. That's how efficient and good they are. And the Japanese are as well. Extremely efficient, extremely good.
But again, this is not in that same context, because remember, Germany is part of the NATO, and the NATO ramp up. We've talked about Germany over the last few weeks about them spending more, them bringing their commitment to NATO up to scratch.
Well, we have to worry a little bit about Japan, but Japan too, like at this particular time, one of the previous Japanese prime ministers mentioned that they were going to become more militaristic, and it got a lot of resistance. Now that's about going back about 20 years now, and that was the one that was he assassinated or did he die of a heart attack? I can't remember. Anyway, he. So basically, what Japan sees is the United States become weaker militarily.
Yeah.
It just pretty much lost the war with Iran. It didn't lose it big time, but it certainly did not get what it wanted. A small country with a bunch of missiles, with no navy and no air force, and yet they held them off. So the world's looking at that right now and seeing a country with a handful of drones can make life miserable for huge military powers like the United States and Israel.
Yeah.
So Japan is looking at that. South Korea is looking at that, and they have existential threat, don't they? Because China is the big beast that's rising from the water, isn't it? China thinks its place is the center of the world. It thought it was until the century of humiliation, right? It has cleverly used Western investment to become the second world power, economically and militarily. So Japan, South Korea, they all have to look at that and think to themselves, we might not be able to count on the United States to help us out here. And even look at Poland. When Poland looks at Russia and how it was vanquished by Russia during the Second World War and other times, it will think, I'm going to need a bomb. As a matter of fact, the Polish president has said that we may need a bomb. Because what do they look? They looked at Ukraine. Ukraine had all kinds of nuclear bombs, but it gave them up with assurances from Russia and the United States that nobody will invade them. Well, guess what? Russia did.
Yeah.
right? So everyone's looking at that thinking the only way I can have safety is make sure I have a deterrent, which is a bomb. And so you have to really worry about what's going on there. The Japan has to protect itself. It's not just militarily. China will encroach upon the sea lanes. It will claim more and more water, more and more of the sea and the sea lanes, and might try to choke off Japan economically. And there might not get a whole lot of help from the United States because, of course, they're overextended at the moment and extremely, hugely in debt.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's probably a good thing that within the context of NATO, Germany is rearming. And within the context of other Asian countries, alliances, Japan rearming is probably a good idea.
Yeah, although they're not part of NATO, there is a Pacific Rim peace organization whose name I can't remember right this second. that Japan is part of. Japan, Canada, and others are part. The US are part of.
Well, Japan, Taiwan, and are part of the initial, and Korea is all part of an initial resistance to China's expansion into the Pacific. Yeah. But as we found, and look, South Korea is apparently very much on threat because it's attached by land. The problem with South Korea and Japan becoming more buddy-buddy, South Korea has never forgiven Japan for what it did during the Second World War. And I think they should get their act together because those people no longer exist. Those people who did that are not around any longer. And that political system that made Japan such a terrifying military force that was so cruel are not around anymore. And that political system is not around anymore.
That whole political system, everything has changed. It's a different system. It's different allegiances. And Germany and Japan are not a threat in the way they were 80 years ago.
No, they aren't. But Japan did some terrible things, and the rape of Nanking being one of them. And they have witnesses. They even had a German Nazi witness to that, who reported back to Hitler and the crew saying these Japanese guys are vicious, rapists, and murderers. And he was told to shut up because they're part of their alliances. So there you have it. That was during the rape of Nanking. And they did all kinds of other atrocities as well. And the Germans, we know what they're all like. I mean, they put people in concentration camps and murdered them, on racial basis or ethnic basis, They were but their militaries were fantastic. Like the Japanese were extremely tough fighters. And so were the Germans. On the Eastern Front, it was 2-1 again. The Germans were able to kill two Russian soldiers for every one they lost. And they did the same against the Allies on the other side. So they make a good military, but it has to be within systems like benign systems, not aggressive expansionist systems.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
rather cooperative, not maybe benign, but cooperative.
Right. It keeps being rehashed. It's not true. Carney is not with China.
And Carney is with China. I don't know where you get that. Yeah. I don't get with that at all. He's making the same sort of deals that the United States has made with China. Yeah. So does that mean the United States is with China?
No. Exactly.
I mean, the United States is not corrected its trade imbalance with China at all. Trump went over there, and he couldn't get them to order as many Boeing jets as he wanted them to. But he went over there and asked, Now you got 200 instead of 500. So is he with China? Like when they were going to cut off trade, when he put 145 tariff on it and China cut off the trade, he quickly changed his mind. So is he with China? Now
No.
Carney's going to go all over the world, and he's going to trade with who he's going to trade. Obviously, we're going to trade more with the United States than anyone else. That's just life. But we're very, very, very aware. Carney is very, very aware, and so the rest of us, that they told us they don't need us anymore. They don't. So we have to find more markets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Moving on.
You're wrong.
According to
prove it to
Rick,
me. Prove to me that Carney is with China. Prove to me. Right.
Yeah.
And then prove to me that Trump isn't with China. He's made way bigger deals with China than we have.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. One of the things to be talking about actually is so Welland, the candidates of the city of Welland, registered candidates as they sit right now. So for actually, we covered Welland, didn't we, last week? We covered Welland. Let's go to Port Cockburn instead, right? So let's delete that one, and we'll get to Port Cockburn candidates instead. All right. So Port Cockburn candidates, basically, okay. So because it screwed me up earlier on, it took everything down. So 2 candidates for mayor right now: B. Kenny and Bill Steele. So for Ward 1 councillor, we've got Mark my eye's going funny. Mark Bagu and Tim Hoyle. And for Ward 2 councillor, we've got nobody. For Ward 3 councillor, we've got Amanda Emery and Adam Robbins. For English language public school, nobody. Susan Javonovich. For English language Catholic school board, we've got Donnie Di Lorenzo. For French public school, we've got Amanda Leduc, and for French Catholic school, we've got nobody at the moment. So there's your situation with Port Cockburn. I was going to do Welland, but I remembered we covered that last week, very, very late in the week.
Who do they have for Turkey, Bulgaria, and go-between for their trade?
Yeah, well, somebody can stick their hand up for that one, yeah?
Yes. Who's going to be their trade commissioner?
Trade commissioner, yeah, that's a new
Port Cockburn and Turkey, Bulgarian Trade Commission.
Well, yeah, and here we go. So you've got that. The gap is there between B. Kenny and Bill Steele, right? There you go. Yeah. That's who's chasing that job, right? Okay. All right. Moving on. We talked about Carney just a minute ago. Basically, Carney is saying that the middle powers countries shouldn't compete for the favor of the US. They should be dealing with trade between them.
Yes, this went really well in Davos, and of course it made Trump really angry because he said he had the best speech, but nobody ever talked about a speech, and nobody today can reference it. But we all know what Carney said.
And nobody
Carney said, and everyone in the world can quote Carney at Davos, but nobody can remember what Trump said. And of course, Trump said, "I had the best speech ever," right? But nobody could remember what it was. And of course, Trump got really mad because Carney got the spotlight. One thing Trump doesn't like is giving up the spotlight. I mean, I don't know. Carney, he gets it constantly, so I don't know why he gets jealous when that happens.
Carney was shaking hands with Michael Martin, who is Ireland's head of government, after giving his remarks at the government buildings in Dublin. Right, this was on Saturday.
Yes.
And with the leader of Ireland on Saturday ahead of the upcoming G7 summit. So the G7 summit starts this week.
Well, yes. And Carney is doing what he has done before. He has pointed out that the middle powers, and this is going over very, very well with everybody because they've found themselves, just about every country have found themselves in a pinch between China and the United States.
Yeah.
The United States is trying to protect itself with tariffs and all that. But in actual fact, what it really wants to do with the tariffs is to make up for the tax shortfall that they've given all kinds of tax breaks, particularly to every American, but particularly the rich. Now they're going to have to make up that shortfall because they're incredibly in debt. So they hope to do it with tariffs, which means the American people are going to pay the tax. That's a tariff is a tax on the American people. Yeah. But it does slow down trade between other countries. So facing these tariffs and the kind of bully type action that the U.S. has done, the rest of the world is now kind of getting used to this, and they know that they won't get any better deals from China either. China will put conditions on any kind of trade that they have with them. So here they are. Everybody's being squeezed between these two big hegemons, China and the United States, the economic powers, and both of them are saying, do it my way or go to the highway. So what's Carney's talking about? He's talking about all the middle powers. He's talking about Europe as a collective unit with Canada included in Europe in a trade sort of a situation, trade and mutual defense situation, that we have more people collected than the United States does. It also means that, of course, that's more of a market.
You think about it. These are a collection. The European Union is a collection of those middle powers that have all been put together, that have all worked together for the common good of each of those nations involved. And as a conglomerate of middle powers, they are therefore now a nation, a group that's larger than the United States as a single unit.
Yes, look, and we get better conditions. We get more freedom. Like, for instance, we're probably going to get the Gripen. Well, we did the Eyes in the Sky deal, right? Yeah. Where we bought a
that Swedish, was inevitable anyway. The Boeing AWACS has got problems and is massively out of date.
But even if it was up to snuff, we get a better deal because we don't have to. When the U.S. sells us a fighter or sells us anything, it has the ability to change or give us what they want at reduced amount of capability or whatever else. Whereas if we buy the stuff from Sweden, we have complete control over how much we have. We don't have to worry about another country controlling what's happening in our fighters. Now we need a lot of fighters to look at the north. That's mostly what we're looking for, is fighters to look at the north, and the Gripen is better suited for that. It might not be the most fast, it might not be the most sophisticated, but we don't need that. We need planes that are suitable for the Arctic, and those are. Yeah. So so you see the cooperation happening here. It's a win-win situation. Sweden is delighted to be able to sell us stuff and manufacture a lot of it here in Canada. And we're delighted a lot of it's here in Canada, and we get to trade back with Sweden. That's going to happen with what Carney envisions, is this is going to happen with a lot of the European nations. Yeah. He sees Europe as going forward as the third big trading bloc that might be able to protect us from the vice of China and the United States.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to have to leave it there because I'm going to have to get going because I've got court this morning, 9:00.
Well, as always, I'm going to bring up Gaza. It's a hideous place. People are still starving there. People are not getting medicine. The children are not going to school. Remember, the population of Gaza is like 2/3 14 and under. So 2/3 of it are not even able to vote. And everyone's like, I hear, well, they voted for Hamas, they deserve what they get. The election happened back in 2005.
You're talking God knows how many years ago. It's not a valid election anymore, right?
You're talking 20 years, and they barely made it. And then once they got into power, they took control, just like what happened in Iran, just what happened in Germany or Japan back in the war times. So, I mean, that's just BS. Well, that's what they wanted, so this is what they get. They get 25,000 of their kids killed. That's their fault. 100,000 of the kids maimed, blinded, and burned. That's their fault. Get stuffed. It is the fact that the United States cannot control its client state. As a matter of fact, Israel thinks of the United States as its client state. We can't allow that to happen anymore. We're supposed to be more ethical than our enemies, aren't we? And we certainly aren't. And Israel has proven that. If they think they're a part of a democracy, guess what? Democracies don't act that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu.
All right. And have a great day, everybody.